Okay, new camera and everything. Anything can be cool nowadays, and watches are like the coolest thing ever. Keeping track of time itself with a bunch of springs and gears, it doesn't get much better. So when people tell me they don't care about their watch or they don't care about watches, I feel like they just haven't seen enough of them. They probably know their Casio, their Rolex, and all those watches are great, don't get me wrong. But I'm after something different today. Today we're looking at 10 incredibly niche watches. Watches that a watch guy or watch gal would look at and say, yeah, that's cool. My name's Tony. I started my own independent newsletter about watches called Unpolished after beginning my career in watches at Hodinkee. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. It's just our second video. I tried to keep this list pretty accessible price-wise, but the watches aren't obvious. There's no vintage Rolex Explorer or Patek Philippe. Okay, there's one Patek. These watches are cool, but everyone already knows about them, so we're talking about different watches today. From the forgotten dive watch, we'll work our way up to what I think is the independent watchmaker who's responsible for so many of the indies we see nowadays, and the one that might be next on my list. Oh, and none of that new stuff. From the 1930s to the 2000s, let's get to it. First up, the forgotten dive watch. The Zodiac Seawolf came out in the early 1950s, right around the same time as the Rolex Submariner or Blancpain 50 Fathoms. It doesn't even play second fiddle, it plays third fiddle to those more popular divers. It's a real shame, to be honest with you. Zodiac made the Seawolf from the 1950s all the way up to the Super Seawolf, this chunky, funky 1970s diver. Last year, I finally found one on eBay. The movement wasn't running, it was hardly functioning. But that's kind of how it goes with these things. There's tons of variety. For me, the more colorful, the better. I love these exotic orange ones, more colorful than the standard black or white ones you see. Whenever one pops up, it's worth the few $1,000s to me. The sad part is the Zodiac brand is in a tough place right now. People are even spotting their watches at TJ Maxx next to the Calvin Klein socks and underwear. It means the brand can't properly tell their story, but that's why I'm here. From one of the first dive watches to the first real waterproof chronograph, the Gallet Clamshell. The clamshell design uses 4 screws to lock in the case. It's primitive technology by today's standards, but Gallet got a patent on it in the 1930s. You can see other brands would use the clamshell case, but the Gallet ones are my favorite. That's in large part thanks to the dial variety. You'll see different numerals, lume, tachymeter, telemeter, pulsation scales. The amount of information they're able to fit in a compact space would make most of today's designers blush. Also, these watches feel a little more robust and large than you might expect from a mid-century 35mm chronograph. It's like a big chunk of waterproof metal on the wrist. It's really cool. These old mid-century chronographs were the type of thing that collectors were really paying attention to when I got into watches. I feel they're kind of slept on nowadays. So don't be a sleeper. Look, I get it. I love the Tank. I love the Reverso. I own or I have owned both of them. But old Patek Philippe rectangular watches are the next level up. I'm not talking about the super crazy stuff you see on TikTok or wherever else. Just give me a clean rectangular Patek Philippe from the 1930s or 40s. Like, check out this reference 492. It just lives in my brain. It's perfect with that matching Gay Frere steel bracelet. Curved case, stepped lugs. Doesn't get much better to me. It's funny to me that collector interest in shapes, or at least in Cartier, vintage Gilbert Albert, has exploded over the past few years, and those prices have gotten absolutely insane. But if you look back at some of the auction results or sales prices of vintage Patek Philippe watches like that 492, they were selling for more 20, 25 years ago than they are today. It's a niche to be sure. Don't chase the same shaped watches that everyone else is chasing. Take a second look at these old Art Deco Patek Philippe watches instead. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really a Grand Seiko guy, but there's one I genuinely love. In 1960, Grand Seiko introduced the reference 3180, what would become known as the Grand Seiko First. When the modern Grand Seiko brand was brought back in the 2010s, it started reissuing or revisiting this Grand Seiko First. But there's one in particular I want to call your attention to from 2011, celebrating the 130th anniversary of the brand. It's the reference SBGW033. I hate Grand Seiko reference numbers as much as you do, but this watch is perfect. Stainless steel, 36mm case, this off-white dial that's somewhere between cream, ivory, bone. I don't know what to call it, but it makes me feel things. Grand Seiko at its simplest is Grand Seiko at its best. That's SBGW033. Go ahead and look it up. Lange and Sona relaunched in 1994 with 4 collections. The 1815 collection wasn't one of them. That came a year later in 1995 with a new round movement. That's kind of Lange's thing. New movement for a new watch is why they made hundreds of calibers over the past 32 years now. I think because it technically wasn't one of those first 4 watches, people overlook the 1815 nowadays. It's just this simple precious metal dress watch. Thin case, 35 millimeters, numerals, 3 hands, and not much more. Until you turn it over and bam, it's all of that Lange finishing you'd expect. It's romantic in a very German sort of way. The way a perfectly formed line waiting for a exactly on time train is kind of romantic. At least to me it is. It's like they took everything restrained and correct about German engineering, added just a few watchmaking flourishes, and out popped the perfect dress watch. Quick story. A few weeks ago, a friend showed up to dinner wearing an original Jaeger-LeCoultre Reserve de Marche from the Master Control collection. It had this beautiful, warm, gray-brown dial, something I'd never seen before, and I haven't been able to get it out of my head since. Let me give you some context. In the early 1990s, Jaeger-LeCoultre actually shared some DNA with Lange in addition to IWC, which we're going to talk about in a minute. They were all helmed by the same man, Günter Blümlein. While Lange gets all the attention because it's Lange, Jaeger-LeCoultre actually served as the groundwork for a lot of its great watchmaking. In 1992, JLC introduced the Master Control collection. It was a heritage-inspired collection with one modern twist. All of these watches underwent 1,000 hours of testing at Jaeger-LeCoultre before they left the manufacturer. That's like 40 days of testing. It started with a time and date model, but it quickly expanded to include complications like that power reserve watch, all the way up to a perpetual calendar that actually used the perpetual calendar module that Kurt Klaus developed for IWC. Despite the complications, they all kept slim 37 millimeter cases. The entire range deserves a lot more attention to me. Sure, the Master Control collection is still around today, but it's got more Costco-sized diameters that don't exactly appeal to me. Speaking of Blümlein, 1990s IWC finishes off what I'll refer to as the Blümlein Holy Trinity. IWC dive watches are perpetually underrated. I think that's because the brand itself seems to think it belongs to the skies with those large pilot's watches. But in 1997, IWC introduced the GST Aquatimer 2000 collection. Now, this came after IWC's contract with Porsche Design ended, and those old Porsche Design divers are also important. They're just a little too futuristic for me. The Aquatimer 2000 gets it right. GST stood for gold, steel, titanium. The collection came across all of those different metals, but the titanium is the one for me. Angular case, integrated bracelet, 2,000 meters of water resistance. The old Aquatimer 2000 is what last year's Omega Planet Ocean update thinks it is. There's a lot more to be discovered about 1990s IWC in general, but its dive watches are where it's at for me. I mean, 2,000 meters of water resistance 30 years ago, that's cool. I'm not done with 1990s tool watches yet. Something about this era that just felt more pure. So let's get back to Germany. Also in 1997, Sinn introduced the most Sinn of watches, the EZM1. EZM stands for, say it with me, Einsatzzeitmesser. I actually think I got that right. It's a mission timer in German. This watch is made for literal German commandos. When you see Germans making a real tool watch, it makes you wonder why the Swiss would even bother. Lemania 5100 movement, argon gas. Honestly, I don't think I'm enough of a badass to wear a Sinn, but I aspire to be one. Let's get back to something a little more understated. The Longines Tray and Say Tacche. These are early waterproof wristwatches from the 1930s and 40s. The name refers to the number of notches on the back. It's either 3 or 6. It's kind of like a thinking man's Rolex Bubbleback, another early waterproof watch. The variety here is extraordinary, and the knowledge about what's important, what's correct, and what's not mostly resides in the heads of a few devoted Longines collectors. There's a lot to learn here, but when you see a good Longines Tray or Say Tacche, you know it's good. I'm talking non-luminous gilt dial. It doesn't get much better. Don't forget, Longines made a hell of a movement back then too. It's not just about the case and dials here. It's the perfect niche for cool collectors like you to explore. Before I get to the last watch, it's that independent watchmaker who's responsible for like all of the independent watchmaking that came after and the next watch on my list. I actually made a list of 26 incredibly niche watches I love over at the Unpolished newsletter. So become a subscriber to check out more cool, underrated watches like this. You can find the link in the description below. It's the kind of stuff I cover every single week. You can join for free or become a paid subscriber. Members also get other benefits like discounts on the US-made straps we sell in the Unpolished store, discounts on watch servicing, as well as other great community benefits. Check it out, unpolishedwatches.com. Let me tell you about Svend Andersen. He was a master watchmaker and restorer at Patek Philippe in the 1970s. It's where he fell in love with the world timer. It's still around today making beautiful independent watches. Andersen was also the co-founder of the AHCI, the Association of Independent Watchmakers that started in Switzerland. He's responsible for blazing a trail for all of the independent watchmakers that would come after him. Philippe Dufour, F.P. Journe, even guys like Recep Recepi. And still not enough people know the name Svend Andersen. Because of his love for the world timer, it wasn't long before Andersen Genève started making its own world timers. The first came in 1990, and then in 1992 he introduced the Christopher Columbus world timer. It's a limited edition of just 500 watches across metals. All of them have this beautiful, bright, bold lacquer dial that just pops. I've been lucky to experience a few of these old Andersen Genève world timers for the first time just in the past few months, and I've been absolutely smitten. The prices these are selling for nowadays, in addition to the connection to Svend Andersen, world timers, Patek Philippe, and honestly all of independent watchmaking, it makes it a really interesting value proposition to me. It's why it's next on my personal list. There's a thin line between rare and obscure. Rarity means a collector community has formed around a watch. It's in demand, it's popular. If something's obscure, it's still a diamond in the rough. It's a niche, it's just waiting to be discovered. The beautiful thing about watches is that there's an almost unlimited amount of niches like this just waiting to be discovered. I hope this list inspires you to go down a rabbit hole or two and maybe gets you thinking about the next thing to add to your collection. If you're new here, my name's Tony. This is just our second video, so please like and subscribe to follow along for all the great stuff we've got planned. And if you've got a favorite niche watch I should know about, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for listening.